The banquet hall fell dead silent. My new wife stepped through the doorway, drawing every pair of eyes to her. Emma froze beside the man she had chosen over me, unable to move an inch. For 3 years, Emma had been my unrequited college crush, a love that was almost within reach yet slipped away, someone I could never fully let go of. 2 weeks before Emma's wedding, an invitation arrived at my apartment. The note read, "Please come. I want you there." I nearly tossed the invitation straight into the trash. After much thought, I finally resolved to attend the wedding. Emma expected to see the same lonely young man who used to wait beneath her dormitory, holding coffee and wearing an awkward smile. But that Daniel was long gone. Over the past year, I had quietly built a brand new empire, unknown to all my college acquaintances. The power I now wielded was enough to make Emma's fiancé uneasy. Even so, I never imagined the woman beside me would upend everything I knew about the past. My wife glanced at Emma and offered a faint smile. Emma stared fixedly at the wedding ring on my wife's finger. Then she whispered a sentence that made all my past memories feel like a lie. "Daniel, how do you know her?" I looked first at my wife beside me, then turned toward Emma. The truth behind my marriage was a secret Emma could never afford to uncover. The invitation arrived on a Tuesday afternoon. I recognized Emma's handwriting before I even opened the envelope. I stood by the kitchen counter, staring at my name printed on fine white paper, lost in thought. Daniel Carter. My thumb brushed gently over the letters. After all these years, I murmured to myself. I opened the envelope and the first line made my stomach clench. "Emma Parker requests the pleasure of your company at her wedding." I let out a bitter, short laugh, not because it was funny but because fate always had a twisted sense of humor. Emma Parker was getting married, and she had personally invited me to witness it. I read the invitation twice before spotting a handwritten note tucked behind it. "Daniel, I know this meeting will inevitably be awkward, but our college years meant so much to both of us. I sincerely hope you can come. Emma." I set the note down on the counter. The simple phrase, "both of us," lingered in my mind all night long. College was everything to me. Emma had once been my entire world. Yet I had always known I never held the same place in Emma's heart. At least, that was what I had believed all along. My phone suddenly rang. "Daniel, you've received the invitation, haven't you?" My best friend Marcus Reed never bothered with idle pleasantries. "Word has it Emma's getting married and she invited you personally." Marcus chuckled. "Tell me you aren't actually planning to go." "I'm going." "What?" "She asked me to." "Is that your only reason?" "It's reason enough for me." Marcus fell into a brief silence. A moment later he asked, "Are you still in love with Emma?" I looked out the apartment window. City lights blurred across the glass surface. "No." The answer slipped out so quickly it even surprised me. Marcus picked up on the odd tone. "Daniel, I've truly moved on." "Then why does your voice sound off?" "Emma belongs to my past." "Then leave the past where it is." I picked up the invitation once more. For countless nights, I dreamed Emma would let me into her life. Now she invited me to watch her marry another man. Marcus sighed heavily. "Daniel, don't go there hoping to find closure." "I'm not." "What are you hoping to find?" I stared at Emma's handwriting, my mind empty. "Nothing." It was the truth, or at least I thought it was at the time. Early the next morning, long before sunrise, I arrived at Carter Holdings. Ever since college, this company had consumed nearly every part of my life. My father had founded the business from nothing. After he passed away, every member of the board assumed I would sell my shares and walk away. Instead, I rebuilt the company from the ground up. 3 years later, Carter Holdings had become one of the nation's fastest-growing tech firms. Hardly anyone from college knew who I had become. Emma certainly had no idea. My assistant Olivia Grant walked into the office holding a tablet. "You have a Boston conference call at 9 o'clock. Push it back to 10. "What's the reason?" "I'm attending a wedding." Olivia paused, clearly surprised. "A wedding?" "Emma Parker." Olivia raised an eyebrow. "The Emma Parker?" "The very same. The woman who broke your heart." I smiled faintly. "It seems my heart healed long ago." Olivia placed the tablet on the desk. "Who is the groom?" "Ethan Blake." Olivia's expression shifted instantly. "Ethan Blake. Do you know him?" "Everyone in finance knows him, the head of Blake Industries." I leaned back in my chair. "Interesting. Very interesting." Olivia hesitated. "Daniel, are you certain going is a wise choice?" "I'm only attending a wedding, not starting a fight." "That depends on the groom." I let out a quiet laugh. For the first time in days, the sting of the invitation faded. Maybe Marcus was wrong. Perhaps I really was over Emma. 2 days later, a strange text landed on my phone. You should come to the wedding. Emma will be glad to see you. I stared at the screen and typed a reply. Who is this? No response came. 5 minutes later, another message popped up. Someone who knows Emma better than you think. My smile vanished completely. I dialed the number, only to hear a notification that the line had been disconnected. I set down my phone, a sense of unease creeping over me. There was something deeply strange about this wedding. But curiosity had always been my greatest weakness. Friday evening, I drove to the hotel hosting Emma's rehearsal dinner. I stood outside the hotel for a long time. Through the glass doors I caught sight of Emma. She wore a simple blue dress and Ethan stood beside her, his hand resting lightly on her waist. Emma smiled, that smile I had once believed belonged only to me. My chest tightened sharply. Daniel. I spun around to find a woman standing behind me. Long dark hair, calm eyes, dressed in an elegant black gown. I had never met her before. Do we know each other? The woman smiled softly. No. Then how do you know my name? The woman glanced toward the hotel. Because Emma has spoken about you. My stomach sank. What has Emma said? That you were the only man who ever loved her without demanding anything in return. I swallowed hard. Who exactly are you? The woman held out her hand. Sophia. I shook her hand. Sophia, what's your last name? Sophia tilted her lips upward. You'll find out tomorrow. Tomorrow at the wedding. Before I could ask anything further, Sophia turned and left. I watched her climb into a waiting car and disappear from sight. My phone vibrated, the caller ID read Emma. For the first time in 3 years, Emma was calling me. I answered. Hello. Silence lingered on the other end of the line. Then came a shaky breath. Emma whispered. Daniel, please don't come tomorrow. I stood rigidly in place. What? I can't explain it. You sent me the invitation yourself. I know. What changed your mind? Another long silence. Daniel, if you show up tomorrow, everything will change. I gripped my phone tightly. What exactly does that mean? Emma's tears trickled through the phone line. Please trust me. The call cut off abruptly. I stared at the black screen for a long while. For years I'd waited for Emma to choose me. Now she begged me not to appear. I should have listened to her. Instead, I whispered to myself, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Tomorrow I will be there. I barely slept that entire night. Emma's final words echoed endlessly inside my head. If you come tomorrow, everything will change. By 8 o'clock the following morning, I had changed my mind 3 times. At 9 Marcus called. Tell me you're still at home. I'm getting dressed. Daniel, are you really going? I have to. What? I need answers. Marcus groaned. So many people have destroyed their lives chasing answers. I smiled lightly. Relax, I'm not going to crash the wedding. Thank goodness. I just need to understand why Emma suddenly doesn't want me there. That sounds even worse. Marcus fell silent for a moment, then spoke again. Are you going alone? I looked at the black suit hanging beside my closet. No. After a short pause. Who are you taking? Sophia. Marcus nearly choked. The mysterious woman from last night? Yes. You've only met Sophia once and she already knows Emma. That's exactly what worries me. I adjusted my cufflinks. I trust my instincts. Your instincts once convinced you Emma secretly loved you. I laughed out loud. This is completely different. No, that was back in college. Precisely. That's the problem. Marcus sighed. Fine. Call me if anything goes wrong. I will. The call ended. At 11 o'clock I arrived at the hotel. Sophia was already waiting near the main entrance. She wore a cream-colored gown paired with a simple diamond necklace. Her attire was understated, yet countless guests turned to stare as she walked past. You came, Sophia said. You hinted I should. Sophia smiled. I didn't think you would show up. I almost didn't. Because of Emma. Sophia's smile faded instantly. Then today will be difficult. Were you really? Sophia looked toward the ballroom doors. The answer to that question is complicated. I have plenty of time to hear it. Not enough time. Before I could reply, Sophia stepped closer to me. Daniel, no matter what happens next, don't act rashly. What should I do instead? Watch carefully. Watch for what? Watch who grows nervous the moment you walk into the hall. I studied Sophia's expression closely. You already know something? Yes. Does Emma know? Sophia looked away. Emma only knows part of the truth. Which part? Sophia lowered her voice. The part that will break her. The ballroom doors slowly opened and music drifted down the hallway. Guests filed toward their seats. I offered my arm and Sophia linked hers through mine. We walked inside together. The first person to notice me was Emma's mother, Margaret Parker. Margaret froze mid-conversation with another guest. All color drained from her face. Daniel. I smiled politely. Good afternoon, Mrs. Parker. Margaret's gaze fell on Sophia, then returned to me. You've brought a guest. Yes. Margaret narrowed her eyes. Who is she? Sophia smiled calmly. Sophia Carter. Margaret froze completely. I could feel Sophia's fingers tightening around my arm. Margaret whispered under her breath. Carter. Before I could respond, a voice sounded behind us. Daniel. I turned around. Emma stood near the altar. The sight of her wedding dress sent a brief twinge of sorrow through my heart, lasting only a second. Emma's gaze traveled from my face to Sophia. Every trace of color vanished from her cheeks. Who is she? Sophia replied steadily. My wife. Emma gasped, unable to breathe. The music continued and guests kept talking, yet all sound faded for me. Emma stared at Sophia's hand. A wedding ring rested on Sophia's finger. Then she glanced at my hand. Your ring? Emma parted her lips. You're married? I nodded gently. Yes. 3 months ago. Emma looked back at Sophia. 3 months. Sophia smiled faintly. 3 months and 11 days. Tears quickly filled Emma's eyes. Daniel, why never told me? I almost laughed. You invited me to your wedding. Emma stepped toward me. I had no idea. You never asked. I thought you were still. Emma's voice trailed off. Still what? Emma dropped her gaze. Still waiting for me. The words hit harder than I expected. I lowered my voice. I stopped waiting a long time ago. Emma turned to Sophia. Does Sophia know everything? Sophia answered before I could speak. Everything. Emma's expression shifted. What does that mean? It means Daniel has never hidden anything from me. Emma looked back at me. Nothing at all? Not a single thing. A piercing silence fell over us. Moments later, Ethan appeared beside Emma. Ethan wore an expensive black tuxedo, smiling without a hint of warmth in his eyes. Daniel Carter. I shook Ethan's hand. Congratulations. Ethan squeezed my palm tightly. I didn't expect to see you here. Emma invited me. Ethan glanced at Emma, who looked away deliberately. Ethan noticed Sophia. And this is? My wife. Ethan's expression flickered. Your wife? Yes. Ethan forced a laugh. Well, congratulations to you. Thank you. Ethan leaned in and lowered his voice. Funny. I never heard word of your wedding. You weren't invited. Sophia suppressed a small smile. Ethan's jaw tensed. Emma spoke softly. Daniel, can we talk privately? I looked at Sophia, who nodded in agreement. We stepped into an empty hallway and Emma closed the door. Why did you marry Sophia? The question caught me off guard. Because I love Sophia. Emma stared straight at me. After everything between us. After everything. Did you ever love me? I took a slow breath. I did. Tears welled up in Emma's eyes once more. Do you still? I glanced down at the ring on my finger. No. Emma closed her eyes. We stayed silent for a long time. Then Emma whispered. I always thought you would wait for me forever. I once did. Then why did you disappear? Because you chose Ethan. Emma shook her head violently. This was never my choice. I frowned deeply. What are you saying? Emma reached into her purse, ready to pull something out. Before she could show it to me, the ballroom door suddenly swung open. Ethan stood in the doorway. Emma, it's time for you. Emma quickly hid the object away. Go on. I studied Emma's face. What were you about to show me? Nothing, Emma said. I'll tell you once the ceremony finishes. Why wait until then? Emma looked utterly terrified. If I tell you now, you won't believe me. Ethan called out again. Emma. Emma walked toward the ballroom. Halfway there, she stopped without turning around and left a quiet warning. Daniel, don't let Sophia leave. My heart sank. I looked toward the end of the hallway where Sophia stood. She had heard every single word. Sophia walked slowly toward me. What did Emma mean by that? Sophia gave no reply. I stepped closer. Sophia. Sophia finally met my eyes. Daniel, there is something you need to know about your marriage. My stomach tightened. What is it? Sophia reached into her handbag. Your marriage was never an accident. I stared at her in shock. What are you trying to say? Sophia pulled out a photograph. My expression froze the second I saw it. Emma was in the picture and she was not alone. Standing beside Emma was my father. The date printed beneath the photo was 6 months before my father passed away. Sophia whispered. Your father knew Emma long before you ever met her. I stared fixedly at the photograph. Then Sophia said something that sent cold dread through my veins. And Emma was not the reason my father kept this secret. I stared at the photo until the faces blurred. My father stood beside Emma, who looked barely 20 years old. He looked exactly as I remembered him in the final year of his life, calm, confident, and full of secrets. I turned to Sophia. Where did you get this photo? My father received it from yours. What? Your father asked him to keep it safe. A heavy weight settled on my chest. My father knew your father? Sophia nodded. They worked together for years. Then why have I never heard your name? Because your father did not want you to know. I looked back at the photograph. Why was Emma meeting my father back then? That is the question you need to ask Emma. I already tried. Ask her again. The wedding music suddenly cut off, and guests began heading back to the ballroom. Sophia touched my arm gently. We can't talk here. Where then? In my car. I followed Sophia outside the hotel. The afternoon sunlight poured down, yet it felt strangely icy. Inside the car, Sophia opened a folder. Several documents were stacked neatly inside. I stared at the folder and asked, what are all these? Records kept by your father. How long have you had them? 3 full years. 3 years. Sophia nodded. Since the week your father died. Anger surged inside me. You kept this from me for 3 years. I only followed his instructions. What instructions? Sophia handed me a sealed envelope with my name written on the front. The handwriting belonged to my father. My fingers trembled as I opened it. Daniel, if you are reading this, the people I once trusted have finally turned against me. I paused reading and Sophia watched me silently. I continued reading. There are many truths I could not tell you while I was alive. Not because I distrusted you, but because knowing the truth would make you a target. Emma Parker knows part of the truth and Ethan Blake knows another part. Neither of them knows the full story. I looked up at Sophia. Ethan. Sophia nodded, gesturing for me to keep reading. The Blake family has spent years plotting to seize control of Carter Holdings. I rejected every offer they made. After my death, Ethan will finish what his father started. I set down the letter. Is Ethan marrying Emma just to get close to my company? Not exactly. What does that mean? Sophia pulled another document from the folder. Look at this. My eyes fell on a partnership agreement. My father's signature sat at the bottom, alongside Ethan Blake's father's signature. I noted the signing date, 3 months before my father's death. This is a partnership contract. Yes. But publicly this agreement was terminated. Sophia shook her head. It was only cancelled publicly. My heart dropped. Privately the agreement remained valid. I looked at Sophia. What? Your father added a special clause. What clause? Sophia pointed to one paragraph. I read it twice. If Carter Holdings ownership falls below a certain threshold, control will automatically transfer to the Blake family. My hands turned cold. How much of the company do I actually own? Sophia met my gaze directly. More than Ethan's suspects. I frowned. Then why show me all of this now? Someone has been secretly working to dilute your shares without your knowledge. I leaned back in the seat. Oh. Sophia refused to answer. My phone rang, the caller was Emma. I picked up. Emma, I'm here. Daniel, where are you? Outside the hotel. Has Sophia told you the truth? Told me what? Emma fell silent. Daniel, I knew your father a long time ago. I know. I had no idea about this agreement. Did you know Ethan was involved? Yes. I clenched my jaw. How long have you known? Since college. The answer stung far worse than I expected. You knew all along? I knew the Blake family coveted Carter Holdings. Then why did you date Ethan? I thought I could stop it. Oh. I thought Ethan truly loved me. My anger softened for a moment until Emma went on. I was wrong. I closed my eyes. Emma, why did you send the invitation? I needed you to come. For what purpose? To force Ethan to reveal his true intentions. Sophia glanced at me. I whispered. What does that mean? Emma's voice traveled through the phone. Ethan believes you are still the same naive Daniel from college. I nearly laughed. It seems everyone thinks that. Daniel, Ethan has been waiting for you to fail. What? Because your father left something crucial behind. What is it? Emma broke down crying. The original ownership documents. My heart skipped a beat. Where are they? I don't know, I swear it. If you don't know where they are, why say your father left something? Because your father trusted my family. I looked at Sophia beside me, her expression turned grave. Emma, what connection existed between my father and your family? My mother worked for your father. I froze. Your mother? Yes. What work did she do? She managed private accounts. Sophia suddenly leaned forward. Daniel, ask Emma where the account records are stored. I repeated the question. Emma, where are the documents for those private accounts kept? Emma hesitated for a long time. The old Carter estate. I stood up. My father's old house. Yes. I turned to Sophia. The estate has sat empty ever since my father passed away. I thought no one had set foot inside for years. I grabbed my car keys. We're going there right now. Sophia nodded. But before we could leave, the ballroom doors opened. Ethan walked quickly toward us. All trace of amusement vanished from Ethan's face. Leaving already? I looked at Ethan. The wedding hasn't finished. I have somewhere urgent to go. Ethan stepped closer. Your father would be disappointed to see how you act now. I stopped in my tracks. What did you just say? Ethan smirked. Your father knew exactly who you are. I balled my hands into tight fists. You understood my father better than I realized. Sophia stepped between Ethan and me. Ethan, enough. Ethan looked at Sophia. You're still defending him. My eyes shifted back and forth between them. You two know each other. Neither of them said a word. I turned to Sophia. Tell me the truth. Sophia took a deep breath. I once worked for Ethan's father. My mind went blank. You used to work for the Blake family? Yes. Why never told me? I left the Blake group 2 years ago. What made you leave? Sophia stared at Ethan. I uncovered what the Blake family did to your father. Ethan let out a mocking laugh. You still believe that story? Sophia's face hardened. I saw the documents with my own eyes. Ethan advanced closer. Documents can be forged. I looked at Ethan. What did your family do back then? Ethan smiled once more. Ask your wife. I whipped my head towards Sophia. For the first time, fear crossed Sophia's features. Daniel, don't listen to Ethan's provocation. Why not? He only wants to enrage you. Maybe I should be angry. Ethan leaned toward me. You should be terrified. I met his gaze without backing down. I'm not afraid. Ethan's eyes moved to Sophia. You should fear the woman you married. Sophia turned deathly pale. I looked at my wife. What secret does Ethan know? Sophia reached out to take my hand. Daniel, please trust me. I pulled my hand away. Not until you tell me everything. Tears filled Sophia's eyes. I married you on your father's orders to protect you. Everything around me seemed to stand still. What did you say? Sophia whispered softly. Daniel, our meeting was never by chance. I stared at my wife. So you were sent to me? Yes. Sent by my father? Yes. Then why did you agree to marry me? Tears finally rolled down Sophia's cheeks. Protecting you was only meant to be my mission. Sophia glanced down at her wedding ring. Falling in love with you was never part of the plan. I stood frozen, unable to move. Sophia's confession hung between us like a closed door I dared not open. I looked at the ring on my finger. 3 months ago, I believed this marriage began with a choice we both made. Now I wondered if my whole life had been arranged long before I understood the game I was playing. Tell me everything from the start. Sophia wiped away her tears. I will begin with my father. My father worked alongside yours for nearly 15 years. I frowned. Your father? Richard Grant. The name meant nothing to me. Sophia continued. Richard handled private security and financial investigations for Carter Holdings. And you? After college, I worked under Richard. You were investigating the Blake family. Yes. What? Your father suspected someone inside Carter Holdings was embezzling funds. I glanced toward Ethan. Was it Ethan? Sophia shook her head. It was not him. Then who? Sophia lowered her voice. Your uncle. A chill shot straight to my head. My uncle Robert Carter. I instinctively stepped backward. Robert raised me. I know. Are you saying Robert betrayed my father? Yes. I let out a bitter laugh. That can't be true. Sophia moved closer. Daniel. Impossible. Robert was there when my father died. He arranged the entire funeral. Robert also helped me take control of the company. That is exactly the truth. I stared at Sophia. Where did the stolen money go? It was transferred secretly through multiple shell companies. My father found out about the fund transfers? Your father discovered the transactions. Then why didn't he expose Robert? Because Robert threatened to harm you. Everything suddenly made sense and shock washed over me. Sophia slowly nodded her head. Your father was convinced Robert would take your life if all the secrets ever came to light. I shifted my eyes straight toward Ethan, wondering where he fit into this tangled mess. A faint smile spread across Ethan's face. He looked glad I'd finally raised the critical question. I chose not to acknowledge Ethan and urged Sophia to keep explaining. Robert owed a huge sum of money to the Blake family, and Ethan's father helped conceal the stolen funds. A wave of nausea rose inside me as I absorbed the awful reality. So Robert and the Blakes had secretly teamed up from the very start. Sophia offered me a quiet confirmation before speaking of Emma. Emma was never involved in the theft scheme at all. I closed my eyes tight, overwhelmed by years of misplaced resentment. For such a long time, I blamed Emma for walking away from me, yet I never truly grasped what she'd been fighting against. Old memories from college began to play clearly inside my head. I could picture Emma weeping outside the campus library, begging me to drop certain questions. She suddenly started dating Ethan out of nowhere, then told me we could never be together. Back then, I firmly believed Emma had abandoned me for wealth and status. Now every single memory carried an entirely new meaning. Why hadn't Emma told me everything from the beginning? She lived in constant fear of Ethan, and she was equally terrified of Robert. I locked my eyes on Ethan and voiced the question burning inside me. Did you know Emma was truly in love with me? The smug smile on Ethan's face faded away completely. He admitted he knew the truth, yet he still went ahead and married her. Emma was simply a useful pawn in his plans. My hands clenched into tight fists out of pure rage. Sophia quickly stepped forward to stop me from rushing toward Ethan. I kept my gaze fixed firmly on Ethan, unable to hold back my anger. You never loved Emma, not even for a single moment. Ethan let out a cold laugh in response. Love was never the point of any of this. I took slow, heavy steps toward him. You destroyed Emma's whole life. Ethan stood still without moving an inch. Emma ruined her own life the moment she decided to protect you. Those words froze me in my tracks instantly. Protect me from exactly what? Ethan turned his head toward Sophia. You should ask your wife that question. I spun around and faced Sophia immediately. What terrible secret are you hiding from me? Sophia lowered her gaze and whispered the devastating truth. Your father did not pass away from natural causes. A heavy silence filled the room, and every inch of my body turned icy cold. What did you just say? Sophia's voice trembled as she continued speaking. Official reports listed heart failure as the cause, but I know it is a lie. My breathing grew shaky and unsteady. Then what truly happened to him? Someone poisoned your father. I stared blankly at Sophia, struggling to process this nightmare. Do you have any idea who was responsible? We have never found solid proof, yet there is a strong suspect. I did not need to hear the name to guess. Sophia nodded solemnly. It was Robert. And Ethan's father assisted him in covering up the crime. I lost the ability to speak for several long seconds. This was the man who taught me every important lesson in life. The man who called me every single night throughout my college years. He was taken from me simply because others craved control of his company. I looked sharply at Ethan, my voice tight with fury. You knew all along.
Ethan remained silent and refused to give any reply. You knew my father had been murdered. I suspected there were many unanswered questions surrounding his death. You knew the truth. Ethan shrugged indifferently.
I did not kill him myself. But you shielded the people who committed the murder. Ethan's expression hardened sharply. You should watch your tone. I moved even closer to him. For 3 whole years I thought my father died of heart trouble. Your father made countless enemies over the years. You knew about everything, didn't you? Yes. And you watched me build up my own company while my father's killers waited for me to fail. A cold smile appeared on Ethan's face. You were never meant to achieve anything. Something inside me snapped completely. What exactly did you say? After your father died, your uncle was supposed to seize power over Carter Holdings. But I managed to take control before he could. Precisely. Ethan's smile vanished. You ruined their carefully laid plan. I turned to Sophia, putting together the pieces of our marriage. That explains why our marriage ever happened. Sophia gave me a small nod. Your father prepared for this terrible possibility long before. By sending you to marry me? Yes. Why did he choose marriage as the solution? Sophia paused to take a deep breath before answering. Your father feared Robert would eventually target whoever stood closest to your side. I glanced down at the wedding ring resting on my finger. So my father arranged for you to guard and protect me. That is correct. Did my father know you had feelings for me? Tears glistened in Sophia's eyes as she forced a faint smile. He did not. Then when did you fall in love with me? Sophia met my eyes directly. It was the night you brought me soup while I was sick at home. A weak smile almost formed on my lips. That was only our second date. I remember clearly. You told me you hated soup. I lied to you back then. A soft laugh escaped me and Sophia laughed alongside me. For a brief instant, all the terror and tension faded away. Sophia reached out and gently grabbed hold of my hand. I did not marry you merely because your father asked me to. I stared at Sophia quietly, overwhelmed by mixed emotions. I stayed by your side because I chose you of my own free will. My fingers tightened around her hand. I do not know what I can believe anymore. You do not have to accept every truth all at once today. Sophia squeezed my hand gently. Just believe this one thing. What is it? I love you. Those words broke down every emotional wall I had built up over time. I pulled Sophia tightly into my arms. For 3 months, I loved my wife deeply, yet I never understood why our bond felt unlike anything I had known. Now every fragment of the puzzle finally fell into place. Sophia was no longer just a part of some protective scheme. Sophia was my home. I leaned in and kissed Sophia tenderly. When we pulled apart, she whispered that there was still one more secret to reveal. What is it? Your father left the original legal documents at the family estate. Emma's warning echoed in my mind instantly, the ownership papers. Exactly, we have to get them fast. We cannot let Robert find these documents first. Right then, my phone vibrated violently. It was Marcus calling. I quickly answered the call. Marcus. Daniel, where are you at this moment? I'm at the old family estate. A heavy silence fell on the other end of the line. Daniel, whatever you do, do not step foot inside that house. What makes you say that? I reviewed the property records. Someone broke into the building early this morning. Ice ran through my veins. Who could it be? I have no idea. The call cut off abruptly. I turned toward Sophia with dread weighing on my chest. We are already too late. We drove as fast as we could toward the estate. The iron gate stood wide open, and the front door hung slightly ajar. I stepped out of the vehicle immediately. Sophia grabbed my arm to hold me back. Daniel, what if an intruder is waiting inside? They already know we are coming, there is no turning back now. We walked into the house together. The familiar scent remained exactly as I remembered. Old wooden dust lingered in the air, and faint traces of my father's cologne still drifted from his study. I headed straight for his wooden desk. Every drawer had been pulled wide open, and papers scattered all over the floor. Whoever got here first had torn the room apart searching for something. Sophia crouched down beside the stone fireplace. Daniel. I turned around quickly to see what she had found. Sophia lifted a small metal box up for me to see. My father's initials DC were carved neatly onto the lid. I opened the box without hesitation. Inside lay a flash drive and a folded handwritten note. I unfolded the slip of paper and read the single line written there. Trust Sophia, not Robert, not Emma. My heart stopped beating for a split second. Just then, footsteps echoed from the upper floor. Sophia tilted her head toward the ceiling. Someone is still inside the house. I reached out to grab the flash drive securely. The footsteps suddenly came to a complete halt. A man's voice drifted down from above. Daniel. I recognized that voice instantly. It was Robert, my own uncle. Robert spoke again from the staircase. Your father should have warned you to stay far away from all of this. Sophia moved closer and pressed against my side. Robert appeared at the top of the stairs with a confident smile. Now that you've located the box, we can drop all the pointless pretenses. I stared at the flash drive clutched in my palm. Robert's grin grew wider. Hand that over to me. I shook my head firmly. No. Robert's cheerful expression turned dark and threatening. Then you will learn exactly why your father lost his life. I tightened my grip on the drive. Tell me the truth. Robert slowly began walking down the staircase toward me. Your father was not the only person who betrayed you. I instinctively glanced toward Sophia. Robert pointed directly at my wife. Sophia knows precisely who ordered your father's murder. Sophia's face drained of all color. I stared at her in shock. Is this true? Sophia whispered quietly. Yes. My heart sank into my stomach. Then tell me who gave the order. Sophia shifted her gaze toward Robert. Robert smiled victoriously, and Sophia finally spoke a name I never expected to hear. Daniel, it was your mother. I stared at Sophia in utter disbelief. My mother. I could barely force the words out of my mouth. Robert stood behind Sophia with a satisfied smirk. Now you finally understand everything. I spun around to face Robert. You're lying. Robert simply shrugged. Ask Sophia yourself. I looked back at my wife. Tell me Robert is making this up. Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes. I cannot do that. A sharp pain squeezed my chest. What? Because your mother knew what was happening. Knew what exactly? That your father was investigating Robert's illegal activities. I shook my head repeatedly. My mother passed away when I was 12 years old. I know that. She could not possibly have taken part in this. She was not involved in the theft of funds. Then what part did she play in all of this? Sophia drew in a long, slow breath. She was trying to protect you. Robert let out a mocking laugh. That is certainly one way to put it. I glared at Robert. Enough of your games. Robert folded his arms across his chest. Your father uncovered the stolen money. Your mother found out your father planned to expose Robert to the public. And she panicked out of fear. Why would she panic? Robert threatened to take you away from her. My throat grew tight and painful. So my mother acted to shield me from harm. That is correct. I grew confused. But you claimed my mother ordered my father's death. Sophia stepped forward quickly. I never said she gave the order. I stared hard at her. You said it was my mother. I said your mother knew who issued the order. Robert's smile faded instantly. It felt like the floor shifted beneath my feet. Who is the real mastermind? Sophia pointed straight at Robert without any hesitation. Robert. Silence filled the whole room. I turned toward my uncle. Robert's features hardened with anger. You are making a terrible mistake. I advanced toward him. My mother knew you killed my father. Robert's voice turned ice cold. Your mother suspected me and she intended to expose my crimes. She threatened me repeatedly. What happened between you two? Robert looked away and avoided eye contact. Your mother tried to strike a deal with me. What kind of deal? She promised to stay silent on one condition. I would leave you alone forever. My hands shook uncontrollably. And you killed my father anyway. Robert refused to give any answer. His silence was all the confirmation I needed. It was you who murdered him. I moved forward to confront him, yet Sophia grabbed my arm to stop me. Daniel, don't do anything reckless. I froze in my tracks. Robert let out a quiet laugh. You think you hold power just because you own Carter Holdings. I stared straight at him. I do own the company. Not for much longer. Robert pulled out his smartphone. A notification popped up on my own screen right after. Details of my bank accounts, company funds and private investments were all displayed clearly. Robert smiled coldly. I have been transferring funds for months. Horror flooded over me. How did you manage this? Every transaction received official approval from your board members. That is impossible. My signature is required to authorize transfers. I turned to Sophia. Forgery. Sophia nodded. Robert has a secret contact inside your legal team. My phone buzzed again and it was Marcus calling once more. I answered immediately. Marcus. Daniel. Do not trust anyone on the board. I already know that. No, Daniel, you have no idea how serious this is. What has happened? 3 board members handed in their resignations just now. My stomach lurched. What is the reason? Robert called for an emergency board vote. What will they vote on? To remove you from your position as CEO. I directed my gaze toward Robert. Robert smiled widely. The vote will happen tonight. Once the call ended, I stared at my uncle. You planned every single detail of this scheme. Robert corrected me calmly. Your father planned everything. I frowned in confusion. What do you mean? Your father predicted Robert would come after you sooner or later. Sophia spoke in a soft tone. That is why your father drafted the hidden ownership agreement. I thought back to the documents we were searching for. The Blake family was wrapped up in this too. Exactly. Robert laughed scornfully. Ethan was supposed to seize control of the corporation, but he failed. He did not succeed. I glanced at the flash drive in my grasp. What data is stored inside it? Robert's expression changed instantly. Hand it over to me. I said no. Robert began walking toward me aggressively. Sophia stepped in front of my body to block him. Do not touch Daniel. Robert stopped moving. Your father trusted the wrong person, Sophia. Sophia kept her voice calm and steady. My father trusted me fully. Robert unlocked his phone and pulled up a video file. My mother's face appeared on the screen and I froze completely. The footage was clearly recorded many years ago. My mother sat beside my father, and both of them looked utterly exhausted. My mother spoke first into the camera. If Daniel ever watches this recording, tell him the whole truth. My breath caught painfully in my throat. My father's voice followed right after hers. Robert cannot be trusted under any circumstances. My mother looked straight into the camera lens. If anything terrible happens to us, protect Daniel at all costs. The video finished playing and I struggled to draw breath. My mother knew everything along. My father knew as well. Both of them lived in constant fear. For years I thought they left me behind with no answers. I looked towards Sophia. Why didn't you show me this video earlier? I needed solid evidence first. You already possessed the video as proof. It was not enough proof to take everyone down. What changed your mind? Sophia pointed toward the flash drive. It contains the final recorded testimony. I plugged the drive into my mobile phone and opened the video. My father appeared on screen and silence fell over the room. Daniel, if you are watching this, I am no longer alive. My father's eyes looked heavy and worn out. There is one vital truth you must understand. Your mother never betrayed me. A burning sensation stung my eyes. She did everything she could to save you. The recording continued to play. Robert believes money equals power. Ethan's father believes connections grant power. Yet neither of them understands the real truth. My father leaned closer toward the camera. The company was never my most precious possession. I swallowed hard while listening. You were. The video reached its end. I lowered my phone slowly. For the first time in many years, tears streamed down my face. I did not cry simply because my father was gone. I cried because I finally learned he never abandoned me. Sophia wrapped her arms around me tightly. I held on to her with all my strength. I once believed my mother hated my father. She never did. I once thought my father passed away due to illness. That was nothing but a lie. I once convinced myself Emma left me because I was not good enough. Sophia pulled back slightly to look at me. You were never the problem in that relationship. I stared into Sophia's eyes. Then why did Emma choose to walk away from me? Sophia hesitated for a brief moment before answering. Emma believed leaving you was the only way to keep you alive. I closed my eyes slowly. Everything from the past suddenly made perfect sense. Every goodbye, every unanswered message, every cold glance, every time Emma pushed me away. My phone started ringing again. It was Emma. I quickly accepted the call. Emma. Daniel, where are you right now? I am at my father's estate. Emma gasped in shock. Did you find the metal box? Yes, we found it. Listen to me carefully. I am listening. Ethan knows all about the documents and every secret. I glanced at Sophia. What is Ethan planning to do? Emma's voice shook with anxiety. Ethan is coming after Sophia. Cold dread washed over me. What? Because Sophia holds the original evidence against his family. Sophia moved closer to hear the conversation. Emma kept speaking rapidly. Daniel, Ethan no longer aims to take over your company. What is his new target? Emma whispered fearfully. He wants Sophia dead. The call disconnected abruptly. I turned towards Sophia. Sophia was already reaching for her own phone. A message popped up on the screen. You should have stayed away from Daniel. Another message arrived immediately after. Now both of you will lose everything you hold dear. Sophia looked up at me with worry. Daniel, we need to leave this place right now. I shook my head firmly. No, Daniel. I spent years running from people hiding the truth. I picked up the flash drive securely. I'm done running away forever. Sophia stared at me in surprise. What exactly do you plan to do? I glanced at the scattered documents covering my father's study floor. A faint smile formed on my lips. I am heading to the board meeting tonight. Robert will definitely be there. I know. Ethan will show up too. I am aware. They will try everything to destroy you. I took Sophia's hand tightly in mine. Let them try. Tears streamed down Sophia's face as she smiled. What if they succeed? I glanced down at my wedding ring. They will not succeed. What makes you so certain? Because I am not fighting this battle alone anymore. Sophia leaned forward and kissed me gently. For the first time since the wedding invitation arrived, I felt genuine peace. All of a sudden, the front door exploded open with a loud crash. Security officers rushed straight inside the building. A man shouted loudly, "Where is Sophia Grant?" I pulled Sophia behind my back to shield her. Robert stood on the stairs with a cold grin. "Welcome to the final round of our game, Daniel." I looked straight at Robert. No. I tightened my grip on Sophia's hand. "This is where your twisted game comes to an end." Robert laughed out loud, yet he remained unaware of what I discovered. The flash drive contained far more than my father's final testimony. It listed the names of every person who helped ruin my family. And at the top of that list was a man even Robert feared. Ethan Blake. I walked into the emergency board meeting with Sophia walking beside me. Every single face around the long table looked tense and anxious. Robert sat at the head of the conference room. Ethan took a seat right next to him. 3 board members avoided meeting my eyes. Marcus stood beside a laptop connected to a large screen. Robert smiled mockingly. "You are late." I took the empty chair opposite Robert. I wanted everyone present to witness everything. Ethan leaned back in his chair. "You should have stayed safely at home." Sophia sat down beside me. I scanned every person inside the room. "Let us begin this meeting." Robert laughed scornfully. "You have no idea what is about to happen. I understand the situation perfectly well. You are going to be removed from the CEO position tonight. Then why are you so nervous, Robert?" Robert's smile disappeared instantly. Ethan leaned forward across the table. "Because you have no evidence to use against us." I placed the flash drive flat on the tabletop. "I have this." Ethan's facial expression shifted dramatically. Robert turned to Sophia. "You handed him the evidence." Sophia shook her head. "Daniel found it on his own." Robert rose to his feet. "Daniel, listen closely. Your father made countless terrible choices. My father made only one single mistake." Robert frowned with confusion. "What mistake?" "He trusted you." Complete silence fell over the whole room. I looked toward Marcus. "Show them all the files." Marcus linked the laptop to the projector screen. The first document appeared: bank transfers, dates, amounts and shell company records. Robert's face turned pale as he watched. Ethan stood up abruptly. "Turn that screen off immediately." I stayed seated and did not move. Marcus opened file after file without pause. Every stolen dollar, every hidden account, every forged signature was exposed. Nobody in the room dared to speak. One board member whispered quietly, "Robert." Robert glared furiously. "These documents are fake." A small smile appeared on my face. "That is exactly what you told my father years ago." Robert froze completely. I played the recorded audio file. My father's voice echoed throughout the room. "Robert cannot be trusted." Robert's confident expression crumbled entirely. Ethan rushed toward the laptop to stop the playback. Sophia stood up to block him. "Don't." Ethan halted in his tracks. "You have no clue what you are messing with." Sophia stared directly at Ethan. "I know exactly what I am doing." Ethan looked at Sophia with rage. "You betrayed my entire family." Sophia shook her head slowly. "I simply stopped protecting criminals." Robert slammed his palm hard against the table surface. "Enough of this nonsense." I stood upright from my chair. "No." Every person in the room turned their attention toward me. "For 3 years you stole funds from my company." I pointed my finger toward Robert. "You lied to me about how my father died." I shifted my gaze toward Ethan. "You manipulated Emma for your own schemes." Then I faced all the board members. "And you aided them." One board member lowered his head in shame. I continued speaking firmly. "You will not succeed in removing me tonight." Robert let out a bitter laugh. "Do you really believe the board will save you?" I shook my head. "I do not rely on them. The evidence will speak for itself." The meeting room doors swung open wide. Federal investigators walked inside. Robert froze without any movement. Ethan looked toward me. "You contacted them?" "Yes. I made the call early this morning." Robert stepped backward nervously. "You would not dare to do this." "I already completed the call." An investigator approached Robert. "Robert Carter, you are under arrest for financial fraud, conspiracy and obstruction of justice." Robert locked eyes with me. "You will regret this choice." I shook my head. I regret trusting you for all these years. Robert was escorted out of the room. Ethan remained frozen in his seat. Another investigator walked toward him. Ethan looked straight at me. You cannot prove any crimes against me. I nodded. Perhaps you are right. Ethan smiled in relief. Then Marcus opened the final file and audio recording. Ethan's voice blared out for everyone to hear. Once Daniel loses control of the company, everything will belong to us. Ethan's face turned as white as paper. The recording kept playing. Emma means nothing. Sophia means nothing. Daniel means nothing. Ethan turned towards Sophia. Did you record my words? Sophia shook her head. Your father made this recording. Ethan stared at the large screen in shock. The final document appeared on display, a transfer agreement. Ethan's signature was visible on the paper, and so was Robert's. The investigator took hold of the document. Ethan finally understood that his plan had collapsed. I sat back down into my chair. Silence lingered inside the conference room. One board member stepped forward to speak to me. Daniel, the board would like to hold a formal vote. I nodded. Proceed. The vote was unanimous. I retained my position as CEO. Robert's shares were frozen by authorities. Ethan's company faced official investigation. The hidden ownership agreement returned full corporate control back to Carter Holdings. The long battle was officially over. Yet my heart still felt heavy and unsettled. Once the meeting ended, I walked outside the building. Emma stood waiting near the main entrance. I stopped walking when I spotted her. Emma looked exhausted and worn out. I heard everything that happened inside the meeting room. I nodded silently. Are you all right? Emma gave me a sad, weak smile. I will be fine in time. I stared at Emma for a long moment. 3 years ago, seeing her would have shattered me completely. Today she only reminded me how far I have come. Why did you invite me to your wedding ceremony? Emma stared at the ground. I wanted you to witness that I finally gained freedom. Freedom from Ethan. I understood her meaning. Were you planning to leave him already? Yes. Before the wedding day arrived. Then why did you go through with the whole ceremony? Emma shook her head slowly. I could not go through with it in the end. I remembered the exact moment Emma laid eyes on Sophia. The shock, the pain, the quiet stillness. Was seeing Sophia difficult for you? Tears filled Emma's eyes as she smiled. Yes. What? Because I realized an important truth. What truth? You were no longer waiting for me to come back. I glanced towards Sophia standing a short distance away. No, I was not. Emma nodded slowly. That was the moment I understood what I had lost forever. I felt no anger, only calm peace. Emma, I truly loved you once. I know. I waited for you for a very long time. I know that too. But Sophia taught me something important. Emma turned her gaze towards Sophia. What did she teach you? That love is not waiting for someone to choose you. Emma wiped away a falling tear. Then what is real love? I smiled softly. Choosing someone who has already chosen you wholeheartedly. Emma nodded slowly. I'm happy for you. Thank you. Emma turned and walked away. Sophia walked toward me right after. Are you feeling okay? I looked at Sophia clearly for the first time in years. Sophia smiled gently. Let us head home. I reached out and took Sophia's hand. Wait for a second. Sophia stopped moving. I reached into my jacket pocket. Sophia's eyes widened when I pulled out a small jewelry box. Daniel, we already have wedding rings. Sophia laughed lightly. What is this? I opened the box. Inside rested a simple necklace fitted with a tiny silver heart pendant. I bought this long before our wedding. Sophia lightly touched the necklace. Why did you hold back from giving it to me? I was afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid I was not ready to open my heart to love anyone again. Sophia looked deep into my eyes. And now I am completely certain. I placed the necklace carefully around Sophia's neck. Sophia brushed her fingers over the pendant. I adore it. I love you. Sophia smiled warmly. I love you too. I kissed Sophia outside the building where my father built his empire. For many years, I believed revenge meant making those who hurt me suffer. I was wrong. Justice meant exposing all hidden truth to the light. Karma meant watching the traitors who destroyed my family answer for their crimes. Victory was something far more meaningful. Victory was waking up beside someone who loves you without any conditions. Victory was finally understanding my father's last message. You were never my greatest possession. You were my greatest hope. That night, Sophia and I returned to our apartment. I pushed open the window. Endless city lights stretched out across the horizon. Sophia rested her head against my shoulder. Are you thinking about Emma? I smiled faintly. No. What are you thinking about then? I turned to look at my wife. My future. Sophia smiled. What does your future look like? I wrapped my arms securely around Sophia. It is nothing like what I originally planned. It is far better. So much better. Sophia let out a soft laugh. I kissed Sophia gently on her forehead. The past stole years from my life, yet it no longer owned me. Emma was my first love. Sophia became the love I never knew I needed. Once I finally understood the difference between the two, I stopped looking back. I chose Sophia. Sophia chose me. This time there were no secrets, no contracts, no family schemes, and no betrayal. Only two people standing side by side after surviving every force that tried to tear them apart. For the first time in my life, I did not need to wait for tomorrow to find happiness. I was already home.